Hey everybody, my name is Cameron, your curious occultist, and I'm here to help people discover their hidden power or powers. So in this video, I'm going to talk about merging your light with your dark and why it's beneficial to merge those two energies together. So that way when you're practicing your energy work, your magic, and your spells, that you create a balance in your work, and why creating that balance in your work is going to produce some really serious spell results. So with that said, let's get started. So I'm going to first talk about the light side and kind of understanding the light side of yourself and the quote unquote positive aspects. So your light is higher vibrational. And as you know, human beings and on this planet, we are in a constant state of vibration. Everything's in a constant state of vibration. So when you have a higher vibration or a higher frequency with good thoughts, good feelings, and good actions, or good, positive for yourself, because this is going to be different for everybody, it creates higher, like I said, higher vibrational energy, higher vibrational magic. You're going to get some really good results. It's going to be, very positive. And what that positivity looks like, you want to feel the good feelings of happiness, fulfillment, joy, laughter is a really good one. And I'll tell you about how smiling and laughter affects your spell work. And it brings about and kind of promotes, especially love too, brings about a lot of healing and a lot of peace. And it, like I said, it makes you feel good. Like me getting on these videos and helping you guys figure this stuff out makes me feel good. Helping people get past their own issues makes me feel good. And I'm doing the same work myself to heal and get past all of this stuff, and it's good. We like good feelings. We want to feel laughter, we want to feel joy, we want to feel love, we want to feel connection, we want to feel fulfillment and abundance and peace, prosperity, all of these good feelings. But it can also manifest in like toxic happiness and toxic positivity. And I guess what that kind of looks like is, let's say you're like a tarot reader and you're only focusing on, this is positive, just think happy thoughts and love and light. And I see a lot of practitioners and people do this. That's like, oh, you just have to love. And when you have people who are on, more of the darker side of the spectrum, who are like, well, yeah, you just make that sound so easy, just love and positivity. And, you're not all about love and positivity. It's, yes, that is the end result that we kind of strive for in our spell work, in our energy work, in our connections, our friendships, our relationships with people. Of course we want that positivity. Of course we want that light. But, it creates, I feel, sometimes a lack of relatability with people. And it kind of, depending on who you're saying all of this, like, overly positivity to, let's say, you're doing a healing, and it's like, oh, just, think happy thoughts and you'll be all healed. Not that simple. I wish it was, but it is not that simple. That toxic positivity can sometimes give people a false sense of hope if they're not acknowledging some of the negative aspects first, or the darker aspects of themselves, to get to that positivity, or to get to that good light about yourself. And when you, of course, depending on the types of spells that you're doing and the energy you're putting into, of course you want to kind of sometimes put into that positivity. But a lot of what will block sometimes your spells is if you have negative rooted thoughts that you're not acknowledging, because you're only trying to stay positive. we are a combination of both. We are, you know, the light as well as the dark. I always kind of like to think of myself as like, I may be surrounded by the darkness sometimes, but I am that light in the darkness. And I mean, think of it as like, as above, so below, right? The stars in the universe are that light, but it is surrounded by the universal darkness. And that light, again, it's good. Again, it's positive, it's high vibrational, it's good energy. But sometimes even when I see some of these, you know, practitioners or other people saying, I'm a good witch and I'm good, and, you know, I just need to reassure you that you can trust me. I'm sorry, it makes me not trust you. It makes me not trust you. It makes me feel like, oh, you know, you're not relatable and you're not being real with me. You know, you're saying, you're trying to like, this is just my opinion, but you're trying to like overdo it with the positivity, and you're not getting to the root of people's issues that were sometimes out of their circumstantial control, to be like, well, I have this darkness that's at my roots, but you're just telling me think positive, stay positive, and all that. And I keep trying to do that. But these negative roots that I'm suppressing and not acknowledging keep uprooting and coming into my conscious mind, and from my subconscious to my conscious in my reality. And I just need these to completely go away. And positivity. I'm just going to tell you, if somebody's throwing a curse, a jinx, a hex at your way, only thinking positive, happy thoughts is not going to get rid of people sending negative work your way. It just won't. And the thing about people who do even kind of like overly positive work, which can be, it is great, and sometimes I'm not completely knocking it down. It is really good in some ways, but I do also feel like with some of these practitioners and stuff that I've seen, that they're not, you know, they're not fully being able to know how to stop a curse, especially a heavy curse that they've either put on themselves or were put on by somebody else, or somebody throwing some negative energy your way. You know, it's, you don't understand the dark aspect of it. You won't go there. So you're just gonna be like, oh yeah, just, you know, throw some salt on the wound and that'll make it better. No, you gotta understand how the dark works on top of the light and merit both. So that way, when you have a both understanding of both sides of the spectrum, you're gonna know what to do with your spells at the right moment, at the right time, with the right energy thrown at you or put on yourself, or even rooted from your family and ancestry. That's why we focus on that balance of leaning into the two. And you want balanced magic. You want balanced energy work. You want balanced spells. Because if it's balanced, it's going to produce a lot more effective, quicker results in your reality. So it is good to understand both. And again, positive is high vibrational. It's good for healing. Love spells are great on this. And be careful with love spells, because that's a whole other video I'll get talking into. But it is also good in a positive way if you're feeling from your heart in spells. And, you know, it's like what I talked about in my removing curses video. Like, you want to feel it from here, because you want to feel the love and put that love energy into your spell work. So that's the good part of the positivity. But again, I see some of these practitioners who are just like overly positive, and I feel like personally they're not doing you guys a good favor, because they're not getting to what the root of the darker side is on why this comes. Because again, you're made up of both. If we were made up of all positivity, we would probably be floating. We would probably just be happy all the time. There wouldn't be wars. There wouldn't be all this stuff. and hate and anger and all these things, and that's, would be great, but that's just not the world we live in. It's not. We have to have the duality because we have to have the balance. If it leans to one side, it's gonna throw everything out of whack. So that's some good stuff about the positivity, and I'll go into, separate videos more on the light and positivity as well as the dark. So now the dark, right, is kind of what I've heard, the unknown, the mysterious, sometimes the uncomfortable. Sometimes it's painful, because it makes us feel isolated and alone. And there's a reason they say misery loves company, because when you're too involved in that darkness, it brings up a lot of feelings of lack of control. So you want power, and then that power feeds your ego, and your ego gets inflated, and you try to have not anybody mess with you. So then you get paranoid and you get a little over crazy, and you're just like, everybody's out to get me. And then you're creating self-fulfilling prophecies where you're like, my people are trying to challenge my power, so then they're going to challenge me. And I've been in a few witch fights, and it's not fun. But that darkness, though, is good in some cases, because that's where you're going to find manifestation. That's where you're going to be able to create. But on the negative end of the spectrum, whenever it comes to energy, it can make you feel isolated. It can make you feel lonely. It can make you feel sad, depressed, anxious, angry, negative feelings and thoughts, and even actions that lower that vibration. But it does also have good. There is that creation in there just as much as in the light. If you look at Lucifer, right, all about false light. This is good, and let me sell this to you, and everything's happy and great, but actually they're like stealing it and taking your money. So you have good again, or light negativity, but you also have dark positivity, and again, balance. So with that darkness, again, because I've practiced, quote unquote light magic with healing and love and connectivity, but I've also practiced dark magic, which is how I'm able to understand curses and hexes and jinxes and how they affect people. I used to do it. And so like especially when I was in too much of that darkness, that's where that's where I can describe these emotions and feelings as power and control. And I even used to say, I think it was from a quote from like the Alice in Wonderland movie or something. It was like, it is better to be feared than it is to be loved. Such a goth kids thing to say, right? And in that darkness, I felt so like misunderstood. I, was a solo practitioner for a long time. Again, witch fights. I would be like, oh, you're trying to challenge my power? Well, here you go. And like I said, understanding that darkness, though, again, I learned that's just that I'm like, all right, I want this is how I throw a jinx. This is how I throw a hex. This is how I throw a curse. And so even like when I had my seizures, which I've talked about in a few of these videos, I was so on the darker end of the spectrum, right? And then after my seizures, I focused on all this light and positivity, and I did get like manipulated, and kind of abused by people who were taking advantage of my kindness. So now, even just this year, I'm really like, okay, let's merge the two. And using that with your intuition is going to, create such a powerful effect as a magician, because you're going to have situations where you need to use your light, and you're going to have situations too where you need to use your dark. And merging them makes you one full realized practitioner, human being, person. Like, since I've been merging my two energies, my intuition has increased, my psychic ability has increased. So when I read tarot cards for people and I, connect to my mediumship, which connecting with spirits might be seen as more of a darker side of the things when it's not. There's a lot of souls and spirits that I will create release for, that I'm like, all right, let me go to the darkness with you and then bring you into the light. That's really what I am, especially as like what I call like a crossroads director in my practice. I'm like, I will hold your hand in that darkness because I understand that darkness. I don't fear that darkness. I'm a little comfortable in that darkness, and I will lead you to your light path, whichever that may be. But I'm in holding your hand in the darkness, I am going to help you acknowledge your darker traits. I'm going to help you fully realize yourself. It's going to be uncomfortable, but the good thing is, like, again, I will go there and empathically with you to hold your hand for a little bit. You're in a safe space with me, and even when I read people, I can come off as a little like intense and harsh and a bit much, but they feel my intention of like, I'm being a bit direct and abrasive and a little bit harsh in a way, but my intentions are, again, like, I want you to rise above this stuff. I want you to get past it, because I can relate to being so stuck too much in the darkness, honestly. And I can relate to being like overly positive and getting taken advantage of and used and mistreated by people, when I'm like, my intentions are good and I just want to be liked and loved, and I want others to be liked and then loved, and I'm just trying to do good out here. Why am I getting taken advantage of, and why am I getting used? And now, like I said, merging you two, it helps you also set boundaries within your magic and in your practice. Be like, this is okay, this is not okay, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm not gonna do. It helps you set boundaries with your clients. If you start to pick up, clients for magic, clients for readings, clients for like my mediumship, I can also think of another story where I was doing medium practice because I lived across from a funeral home, and I would advertise my services there. And this lady got so addicted to me connecting with her spirit of her dead father, and she was like, here, I'm just gonna throw money at you. I'm like, this is to help you move on, but I need to help the spirit move on as well, because if they have unfinished business, they're not gonna kind of want to constantly tune in to me either. They want release, they want to move on, they want to go further on the other side. So with that, and kind of balancing the two, is you kind of want to start to acknowledge where your positive traits are. Again, I'm a very emotional person, so I'm very much I have a deeper I have deep love with people, deep connectivity. I'm not really one to like surface level, shallow stuff. I'm like, let's get deep, let's talk about it, like, let's keep it real, let's go there. And that's what I'm saying, I'll hold your hand in that darkness, but at some point I'm gonna have to let go of your hand in the dark, and you're gonna have to acknowledge those things about yourself and then walk through into the light. But what I said, again, I found good results, especially in my magic and in my spell work, when I create that balance of the two. So I'll practice my spells in the dark, the candles being the light, right? And I channel the positive energy in that darkness to the light, and I'll smile after my spell, especially if I want, like, anticipating results. I smile, I laugh sometimes, I giggle, and I get this like, yeah, that kind of good sense of relief. So merging the two, again, in your work is really going to change your approach to and how you practice your spells, because if you acknowledge your darker traits, you're gonna use your positive or light traits to heal that in your work. So if I have money blocks from deeper parts of my childhood, that's considered dark. But the light work, forgiving myself and healing myself, make sure that that no longer happens. But I have to take knowledge of what the issue and the problem is, merge it together, and acceptance, forgiveness, moving on, and getting to the root of the issue, so that way I can walk on my direct path. So I hope this helps. If you guys want to book a reading with me, feel free to message me in the comments or message me directly. Let me know. Like, share, and subscribe if you guys related to this. And yeah, merge the two. It's super good. It's going to be super beneficial for you. Merge your light and your dark. Be both.